to the Investing Podcast, presented by Tusk Media. For a quick audio and video check-in on the stock market, here's the Stock Market Power Lunch.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Investing Podcast, presented by Tusk Media. This is the Stock Market Happy Hour. We're back at you for the second time today, talking about the market. So we've got a little bit of activity. When we last spoke to you, it was pre-market time. We were looking at futures. Everything was up a little bit. That story has changed some. We've actually got the market slowly bleeding downwards right now. The Dow is actually down close to 0.5%. The S&P 500 is down as well. The NASDAQ is holding tight. It's up about 10 basis points on the day. But the rosy outlook we had at the beginning of the day is starting to get a little bit negative, starting to turn south somewhat. Nothing to be alarmed with necessarily, but a little bit different than where we were at the beginning of the day. The big story today on every investing website, whether you're looking at Bloomberg, MarketWatch, whatever, is Stephen Hawking and Donald Trump. This is a really big story as it's related to the market. Stephen Hawking has said that the rise of Donald Trump is more profoundly confusing than a black hole. So think about that for a little bit. There's a lot of commentary that we could draw out of this, but what I really want to focus on is what the impact of these statements will be on the stock market. And I was thinking about this a lot, doing a lot of prep throughout the mid-morning today, and I was thinking about it, and ultimately what this has to do with the market is nothing. So it has nothing to do with anything, and this is something we're going to see really until November with elections. So the broader point that we can draw out of this, there's going to be a lot of headline risk that's unrelated to the market. So when we think about headline risk, we typically think of things that maybe don't impact the financials of a company, maybe don't impact underlying economic data or measures. But in this case, we're actually talking about things that don't really impact the markets at all. So there's going to be a lot of that coming through, whether you're thinking about Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, or a third-party candidate. A lot of that's going to start filtering its way in. So one thing we'll try to do on this podcast and on these videos is to make sure that we highlight what actually matters. And there are things that will matter, things that Trump says, that Clinton says, that someone else will say. There are things that are important. There are things in terms of trade and policies and taxation that will have an impact on investments, will have an impact on portfolios, will have an impact on clients. But Stephen Hawking coming out and saying that Donald Trump's rise is hard to understand, that's not one of those things that we're going to waste a whole lot of time on. So with that in mind today, a little bit of a look at the leaders and the laggers today. A number of the leaders today really have to do with the price of oil. I talked about oil this morning and how it was closing in on that $50 mark, something we haven't seen in really about 18 months. And I mentioned that a number of smaller companies that maybe were kind of in the balance as to whether they were going to survive, are now seeing an uptick because of the price of oil increasing. And we've seen that. Companies like Chesapeake Energy, which is up 5%. Companies like Southwest Energy up more than 6% today, just because the price of oil is coming up and some of the uncertainty there may be subsiding. So a great example, a great way to think of this is really to think about the game of baseball. If you've ever played baseball, picture a scenario in which it is the ninth inning, you are up to bat, the game is tied, and you are an awful hitter. You're standing there, you've got a 180 season batting average. You know, at best, you're going to tip the ball, it's going to roll around the midfield, and you're going to be thrown out. Most likely, you're going to strike out. This is bad. Now imagine a scenario in which a pitch goes through the catcher's glove, goes under him, somebody's on third, is able to steal home, win the game. All of a sudden, your stock has gone up. You've done nothing, but you happen to be at home plate batting when the winning run was scored. That's kind of what's happening for some of these smaller oil companies. They haven't necessarily done anything that's changed their outlook, but in outside circumstances, all of a sudden kind of put them back in the running. And so, for that reason, they're kind of among today's leaders, just because of the price of oil. Another company that's doing really well today is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is up 4%. The only thing I can really tell you that LinkedIn's done well today is they were not hacked today. Day's not over. There's still a good chance that user data could be shared. They've already said last week that they underestimated the amount of data that was accessed in their last breach. But any day that a major social media network isn't hacked, I guess is a good day at this point. In terms of laggers, the only name really standing out here, and we've got pretty narrow market laggership, is Expedia. So Expedia.com. I don't know what else to say about it. I guess the .com bust is still going on, but Expedia is down about 2% today. That is the Stock Market Power Lunch. Well, it's not quite. It's not a lunch without lunch. So today, digging in on a little homemade meat, low carb, burger made at home. Have a great day. Tusk Media is a subsidiary of Narwhal Capital Management. Ratings and reviews of Tusk Media content are not to be construed as endorsements of opinion, analysis, or services offered by Tusk or its parent company. The opinions and predictions shared here are our professional beliefs at the time of publication. We are not under duress from any of the corporate entities mentioned. This is not a solicitation to take any particular action. Although we are investment advisors, this information should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. We strive to be as impartial, insightful, and accurate as possible. We base our opinions, analysis, and calculations on information we believe to be reliable, but we cannot guarantee its accuracy. We can, however, guarantee that our opinion will sometimes be flat out wrong because of a variety of factors. Employees and clients of Narwhal Capital Management may or may not hold positions in the securities detailed and may or may not hold these positions in the future. A full list of all securities purchased, sold, or held during the 12 months preceding the date of this publication can be provided upon request. Unless otherwise noted, all data accessed via MarketWatch or the Bloomberg terminal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. A copy of Narwhal's Form ADV is available on the SEC's website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov, or from Narwhal upon request.